Hey, everybody. Welcome to Plant-Based TourGuide podcast with your host, Mike Knight. It doesn't matter if you're just gathering information about getting plant-based or you've been plant-based for years or somewhere in between. This show is for you. So get ready for Mike's high-energy show fueled by his passion for bringing information, education, and motivation about all things in the plant-based life. So let's get today's show started.
Hey everybody, Mike Knight, Plant-Based Tour Guide. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Thanks so much for joining the show today. Today's show, we have the one, the only, David Carter, also known as the 300-pound vegan. Yes, that same David Carter that played in the National Football League. All right, top-tier athlete and defensive end. All right, so we're talking about someone, that is a big person and has to what? Maintain muscle mass and size, okay? We're going to hear his story about how and why he went plant-based while in the NFL. Not that he did this after, okay? While he's in the NFL, he's going to tell you directly how he did it, the incredible results he got. Spoiler alert, his bench press and other, power exercises went up when he went plant-based. Think about that again, because again, we all know the quote stereotypes and what people think. You can't get protein, you can't get muscle mass, you'll get weaker, blah, blah, blah. No, you're going to hear it firsthand from someone that did it and everything increased. Of course, he did lose some things like, inflammation and a bunch of soreness, maybe even like some blood pressure medicine he was on. I mean, those things that all of us just hate to miss. But seriously though, it's a great interview with him. He is phenomenal. He's doing great things out in the community that I can't wait you to hear about. Okay? So, without further ado, here is David Carter.
I appreciate so much you coming on the Vegan Tour Guide podcast.
Cool, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got to tell everybody listening out there, I appreciate you so much. Your graciousness. I reach out to you, just kind of through your site and everything. I'm, seeing your publications and following you. And I got to tell you, a lot of what you're doing, I got in this because I tell everybody, I grew up a meathead wrestler. And so people started saying, I kind of dispelled some myths, if you will, of what they thought, quote, vegans were. And, of course, you have to go and take it to a whole nother level with, you just absolutely crush the protein myth at all. with you. Because most of the people listening know about you, but for those that are, just now listening and all like that are finding out, this is David Carter, the 300-pound vegan. And that is because what you'll get into, but that's 300 pounds of muscle mass that you have gotten with being vegan. It's not kind of like we all grow up, we always have that, all of us grow up with like that one friend that we call Slim, and he's about like me. He's vertically challenged in 300 pounds. That's definitely not you.
No, man, I figured out the way. But you know what, when you think about it, and a lot of people have this assumption that being vegan automatically puts you in this category of the skinny people. But a lot of people don't even really take a step to, take the time to look and see, look at all the other vegans in the world, like the animals, the largest animals in the world, elephant, strongest animals, gorillas, even the cows. Cows grow to be 2,000 pounds, and they don't eat any kind of meat. So, it's just crazy. I wish people would be, just take the time and look and put the pieces together. And that's where the real strength is. That's where the real protein's at.
Well, exactly. Well, tell us a little bit about it. Of course, I know it from just getting to know you and reading about you, but just for people listening, tell us about, again, your journey.
All right. So I grew up a meathead, too. Matter of fact, my family owned a barbecue restaurant, which is just short of a butcher shop. and I have my family, sports family. Both my brother and I both play football. So we competed in everything, even in food. So we were trying to, who can eat the most food? How many steaks can you eat? How many pieces of chicken can you eat? So, my parents' grocery bill, they hated that. It was so high. But yeah, man, and the meat thing, it works for us. It got us big and strong, and we were both playing football, both got scholarships. Like we both had like 20 scholarships apiece, and we went, we both ended up going to NFL. But the thing is, it didn't work. It didn't get me. I was 300 pounds, but I wasn't healthy. I was strong and everything, but I wasn't healthy. I was dealing with things like tendinitis, early onset arthritis. I had high blood pressure. They had me on high blood pressure medication, and in college and in NFL. And I was 23 years old, and supposed to be one of the top athletes in the world. Well, I was in the NFL. 0.014 of the people that play football in their lifetime actually make it into the NFL. So, and I was thinking to myself, how am I supposed to be a professional athlete and NFL player, but I'm dealing with, and 20-something years old in my early 20s, and I'm dealing with all these old man diseases, these old man illnesses. And like I said, I had high blood pressure. I had nerve damage, tendinitis. I couldn't feel half of my right hand, and that's just from playing the game because my hand got hyperextended, and I had nerve damage within my right hand. And I just had a lot of stuff that I was dealing with. And my wife had been vegan for 6 years before. We had been together for a long time. And she turned vegan when we first got together. And she was, you should try it. You should try it. I'm like, do you want me to get fired? Like, do you want me to keep my job? I need to maintain my size. And if I go vegan, it's a wrap. I'm going to be a wide receiver or something. Right? So. But after I watched the documentary, one day it was February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, and my wife put on this documentary, Forks Over Knives, and you don't know about that. For those who don't know about the documentary Forks Over Knives, it tells you, what's more extreme, going under the knife for surgery or changing what you eat with your knife and fork, and changing what you eat. And it showed that milk is dairy. Dairy and animal products and meat actually cause inflammation in the body. And milk actually leaches calcium from the bones. And because it's so acidic to the body, and then once you drink it, it causes inflammation. And if you break down the word tendinitis, tendon means joint, and itis just means inflammation, and is Latin for inflammation. So I realized that all the food that I was eating, all that heavy meat and dairy, I was drinking a milkshake while I was watching Forks Over Knives, and I'm looking at it like, God damn, I'm causing my own problems, my own old man diseases. I'm poisoning myself by eating this food, drinking this milkshake. So I went and emptied out all of my refrigerator, put all the meat in the trash, poured out the milkshake, all the milk and everything, and went vegan. And I was 305 pounds when I went vegan, and then I lost 40 pounds within the first month, a month and a half, or something like that. But I was like, shit, I'm getting smaller. I need to put the weight back on because I got to play. I got to be 300 pounds in my position. If you're not 300 pounds or heavier, they'll just pick you up and move you out the way because you're going up against two offensive linemen who are 300 pounds or 300 and 330 pounds. That's the average, like low average, right? But I wasn't too worried because my hand healed up, my speed increased, my strength increased. Before I was 305 and I had tendinitis and nerve damage and stuff. My bench press was only 315 for 5, which wasn't a lot for me at the time. But when I went vegan and I lost the weight and my tendinitis started clearing up, the nerve damage started clearing up. My right hand became stronger than my left hand. Now, the right hand, I couldn't even, the one I was wearing a brace, I couldn't feel. It gave me painkillers and what is that, Celebrex and all that stuff for the joints and everything. But I'm getting kind of going off of it. But my bench press went up from 315 for 5 to 465, which is the most I'd ever done. Yeah, because I was just doing all kind of I started lifting weights I was already lifting weights, but with my tendinitis and everything started healing up. I had more energy and I'm stronger. I was running 7-minute miles and I was trying, and the thing wasn't, I wasn't trying to lose any weight. I was trying to, I was trying to gain as much weight as I possibly could, but I had so much energy and I was working out so much. I found myself running. I had to stop running so much because I was losing so much weight. So, and I had all this energy, but I want to run, but I can't because I lose too much weight. So I gotta just lift the weights. I gotta lift weights and hit the weights and eat. So, but yeah, man, it was that was part of my journey. But now what I do now, and so now I share my journey. I talk about that, kind of give that story. And I got my weight back up to 300 pounds. I actually went up to 317 pounds and went back and played again in the NFL.
So on a plant-based diet.
On plant-based.
So it can be done, everybody. It can be done. Do you mind real quick a segue, just real quick into that? Because, a lot of people listening are wondering, all right, how do you add the lean muscle mass? How do you do that? Do you mind kind of a little bit of a walkthrough on maybe what you did or, maybe some go-to foods? I know once I had a trainer that was vegan. He always loved me when he trained me on brown rice and sweet potatoes right after a workout. So I'm curious as kind of some of your feedback.
Yeah, so for me, it's the way I did it. I'm gonna tell you, my Operation Weight Gain is what I called it when I was trying to get from 260 to 317. That's what I do every time I want to put the weight on, and I just do beans and rice. That's the perfect protein combination. Beans and rice, tons of water, and then I do a lot of hemp protein. And I mean, the weight just comes on, and then I don't ever have to worry about. I'm never trying to shed weight. It's just the muscle comes on, lean muscle, and I don't really have to worry that much about fat. So, but also too, smoothies. I love my smoothies. I get as far as gaining mass, you need your calories. It's not so much the protein, because protein comes when you're eating. It doesn't matter. You're going to get your amino acids, the combinations from everything, and you'll get it throughout the day. But my thing is you count your calories, because that's where your muscle mass is going to come from, the calories and carbs. So, just eat, man. As a vegan, just eat, and then try to stick to as much plant-based foods as possible. Yeah. The processed food isn't the best, but it's not the worst. I mean, you can do it, but if you want to do it skip the dieting and all the because a lot of people, I feel like to bulk up, get big, and then get that layer of fat over them when they're trying to get bigger. But I feel like you can just get bigger and build muscle mass, lean muscle mass, and look exactly how you want to look. Just eat the food that you eat, vegan food, plant-based vegan food, and work out, and your body is going to look exactly how you want it to. Because this is for the non-vegans. When you're eating meat, you don't know how much fat is in that piece of meat that you're eating. When you're eating, a plant-based diet, you know how much saturated. I mean, if you're putting anything in there from your butters or whatever, coconut oil, you know how much is in there. When you're eating a piece of chicken or a steak, you don't know. When you eat a piece of fried chicken, there's as much saturated fat in a piece of fried chicken as there is in a stick of butter. And a lot of people don't know that. So, but when you're eating, say for instance, if you eat vegan nachos, a whole big ass bowl of vegan nachos, you're probably getting barely to any fat, because it's rice, beans, avocado. There goes your fat. I mean, you're putting in all the good stuff that you want. You can control, and that's what it is for a lot of bodybuilders. I feel like vegan or a plant-based diet is the best way to go, because you have 100% control of what it is that you're doing. And I mean, with your diet, so.
That's awesome. Do you have, I'm just curious, and you were talking about a little bit about the fat and stuff like that. Did you have back then, or maybe even now, if you will, you hear people talk about the ratios of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Did you kind of really get down into that a lot? Is there a certain, 20% protein, 30? I'm just curious on that.
No. I didn't do all that. I didn't complicate it. What's the point? All you need to do is you just need to eat foods that are high in protein, high in carbohydrates. Your body, high in protein. Get your calories, eat whole plant-based foods, and then I just worked out. I work out a lot. Yeah. But when you're eating your foods, you have to know I'm a bit of a nerd, so I know the benefits of the hemp protein, and I eat it when I'm trying to shed body weight or trying to tighten up. I use the or build muscle, because hemp protein has, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I'm going to keep going. Hemp protein has amino acids.
Bring it.
Hemp protein has amino acids that is only found in the human DNA that help you to build muscle better and faster. And so I use that when I'm trying to build muscle faster, because it definitely helps. It gives you energy and all kind of stuff. And hemp protein is 50-something% protein, and spirulina is the same. And spirulina is actually 60-something% protein. And they do a lot of things to help you shed weight, shed your blood pressure if you have drop your blood pressure if you have hypertension, build muscle, and I love it. I put spirulina in my water while I'm working out to give my muscles protein while I'm tearing them down, and that helps too. There's a lot of tricks that people don't like if you can use plant-based foods and really just literally sculpt your body the way you want it to look if you know your stuff. You just have to look into it. We're spending all this money on all these damn weight loss pills and stuff, but people don't get it. You're eating the fat. You're eating the fat that you're wearing. How about you just control that yourself and be the own creator of what your body is, instead of relying on some pills that you're getting or some workout or some Jenny Craig plan or something like that. It's pointless.
I love it. And, it's funny. I tell people kind of in one of the first podcasts I did about, me and why I'm doing this and some things I saw. And, of course, this is nowhere near your level. But I got, I grew up, like I said, meathead wrestling. And then later on in life, I got into doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, mainly just for fun and working out. And I started entering tournaments. And this is after I'd gone, of course, plant-based. And I'd enter these tournaments, and I'm in my 40s. And so they would have you by age and also within weight ranges. Well, I got to where literally I would do, in my age range and all, guys, every time I get done with a match, I was literally, and I'm not, again, this is not like national or anything, but this is regional tournaments I'd go to. I was throwing guys around. No one could compare with me strength-wise. And they'd all come off the mat saying the same thing. Man, you're the strongest guy I've gone up against. I finally got so tired, I started entering the tournaments in the 30-year-old weight range or age range. And, I used to tell people, I said, what, I finally figured it out. I was like, I literally, when I went to a plant-based, like you were saying, not trying to, I went down to where, I dropped about 18 pounds. And I was same as you, athletic and all like that, and I dropped from I had a walk around weight of about 178. So I went down to about 160, and literally, and I used to laugh, and I tell people, you know what? A plant-based diet, that's my plant steroids. I said, that's how I get it done.
No. It's funny that you say steroids, bro, because it is just like you on the juice, literally, right? But the how they say vegan men, plant-based men who are eating on a plant-based diet have higher testosterone levels than men who are vegetarian or meat eaters. And it's funny, and the reason it's funny, like we all believe that, meat eaters are men, macho, machismo, I'm a man, I eat meat, barbecue, all that shit. But really, it's like, erectile dysfunction is running rampant through men because they're eating all this meat and stuff, and it's really killing them. And then they're getting fatter. They're growing men are growing boobs now because they're putting shit in the meat. People are getting fat and all that stuff, and their bodies are they're ravaged. They're ravaged because of what they're eating, and their weak education of what food is causing their bodies to weaken, and they're young, invincible, the age of feeling invincible and being those young years are dwindling, and they're going away so quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that's why you're whipping all these dudes' asses because they're eating all this meat and they're trying to be like big and bad. They think they're doing all big and bad, but they're really killing themselves. They're choking off all of their their body's way of protecting itself and making testosterone and being healthy. The fluids aren't running properly throughout their body because cholesterol is blocking everything up everywhere. So, yeah.
Well, see, you know what's wild on that, again, like a little bit, again, kind of, like your journey and then my journey, I'll tell it briefly. It's in one of my earlier podcasts. Like for me, I went to my doctor, and this is kind of the tipping point. And again, I think, I run and stuff, and he goes, your cholesterol is elevated. What I want to do is I want to throw you on this drug called Lipitor. And I started doing, I don't like drugs anyway. And then I started doing research, and that thing ravages your liver. And I said, I don't like that. That was a tipping point for me to go to plant-based. Fast forward the next year, go back see my doctor. He comes in, he's like, hey, Mike, how you been? All like that. And he's looking over his iPad there, and he goes, hey, I noticed that you didn't get any prescription refills on Lipitor. What kind of, and I didn't answer. And it's one of those, they're always in a rush. And so, real nice guy, but they're always in a rush, the doctor's unfortunate now. And so he's scrolling. I can see him keep reading down. He goes, what, wait a minute. What'd you do? What did you do? And I said, well, I went to a plant-based diet. He goes, your blood work is perfect. He goes, whatever you did, keep doing it. Don't change. He goes, it worked. And he never even brought, and that was, like I said, 6 years ago. He's never even brought back up. Every time I go in now, he's like, look, your blood pressure's perfect. Your blood is perfect. Wow. He goes, it's
what's
working.
He looking like? Did he go vegan too?
He has, you know what? He and I are buddies, and he's actually gone to a lot of vegetarian options. I keep working on him, and he's getting there. And he told me, he goes, because of you, he goes, I keep getting closer. I'm working on him. But every time I go in, he goes, man, hey, I see you working on you. He goes, I've actually told other people when they've come in my office. He goes, because it's still kind of that thing where, unfortunately, in our society, it's not always mainstream, which people like you and I, this is, part of our mission and goals to get it more and more, the knowledge out there. But because it was funny, even earlier on, I had like sinus stuff. He sent me, I went to an allergist. They do that. If you ever had that done, they prick your arms 40 times up and down to see what you're allergic to. I go back. They're like, you're allergic to nothing. And it's the one time in your life you actually want a doctor to go, look, here's what's wrong with you, so you can focus on it. I'm like, I actually wanted to have something wrong with me. He goes, and the doctor is funny. He literally kind of does that thing, like we're in his office, just me and him. It's like he looks side to side, like in a movie, like making sure no one's around. He goes, all right, kind of off the record, I hear if you cut out dairy, maybe that'll go away. Boom. I cut out dairy. That stuff was gone. I mean, within like 48 hours. Not like I had to phase it out a month or something. Right. It's just, and that was about a year. That happened a year before I went full vegan. But yeah, well, let me ask you this, because I interviewed a guy named Joel Johns earlier on, and he's an ultramarathon runner. And I wonder if anything like this ever happened to you. It was kind of those wild things. I want to hear about your rest and recovery and any differences, because he had kind of a funny story. Again, ultramarathon runner running, a lot of miles. 100-mile races. He told me when he went plant-based, he accidentally overtrained because he felt, he felt so good after runs, but he actually broke a bone in his foot. Because he forgot the fact that, irregardless, the bones also take the pounding. So you have to, being an ultramarathon runner, of course,
you have to give it a break.
Yeah. And he said he felt so good, he forgot about the giving it a break part. And he goes, man, I actually broke a bone in my foot. And of course, he loved it. He goes, it was proof of how well, the plant-based diet was working. I just wonder if you were going through any crazy, even positive, whatever, kind of recovery things, you're like, man, that's different. Did it imagine maybe sped up for you? Or obviously, I know we talked about your hand healing, your bench going up. I just wonder anything else that was kind of wild, maybe unexpected.
Yeah, I had my coach. He was like, man, calm. Like we were working out, and I would go work out with him, and he's like, what you doing? I'm about to go to the gym. Like, what do you mean go to the gym? You just worked out for 3 hours. Relax home and go to but it was like, man, my wife too, she was like, you need to calm down. I was like, but I just have all this energy, and I felt like I was a kid, like a kid again, like time reverse, because you when you think about it, you're giving your body, you're resetting your body. You're allowing your body to reset and giving it energy natural energy that it's supposed to have. So you're just zooming, I mean, it feels, it's an amazing feeling. So yeah, I definitely had that done before. And having to slow down is still something that I deal with today. Like I went to the gym yesterday for 4 hours.
Oh my
and then I came back, and then I came back home and I was doing abs. Me and my wife were doing abs and squats because we do squats. And she's vegan, and she's like, I have to do some kind of squat. She does 300 squats before she goes to sleep because she won't be able to sleep if she doesn't.
Oh my gosh!
You just have energy. You just have energy.
Oh my gosh!
They're not like crazy squats. They're just air squats, but still,
yeah,
you have that. Yeah,
man.
So, and then like a lot of the people that I know who are vegan and have this energy, they either direct it into a physical, or like do some kind of physical exertion or some kind of mental exertion. You're getting energy from somewhere. You have to do something with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, now I know with you, and I've seen like online and all, your speaking engagements and going, to vegan festivals and all like that. Kind of, how often are you doing that now? And kind of, what is your message? What is kind of maybe like a goal you like to get across, and some of your message you really like bringing to people.
All right, so I was going to talk to you about this earlier, but what I'm doing now is I'm doing public speaking across the country and actually internationally as well. But I started off doing kind of what I gave you today, kind of like my journey and why I went vegan, what I eat, and all of that. But then it turned into, because I didn't feel like it was my full story. Because my full story is I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, and we didn't, and still to this day, the idea of a vegan diet is kind of like, vegan, that's for rich people. The vegan world is a more elitist community, it seems like, and so what I talk about the direction I've gone is food justice, and I talk about oppression in the food system, and I talk about it because that's what I learned. It really stands out to me now as being able to be a part of all those tax brackets. Being fortunate enough to be part of those all tax brackets. I was able to see growing up from South Central where there's food deserts, or food deserts is what they call them, or systematically underserved areas where there are no grocery stores. There is no fresh food. All that is available is a McDonald's, Burger King, and liquor stores. Mm-hmm. And then now I live in Beverly Hills, and there's a grocery store walking distance. Trader Joe's is 2 Trader Joe's within 1 mile of each other. So. And it's like, and that's what I talk about that. And I go around the country talking about that and pointing out the things that I've seen. Like, for example, we talk about, I was talking to you about food deserts and how they were started. Well, in 1900s, they had these things called, they're called red zoning laws now in 2017, but they were called Negro zoning laws back then. And in 1917, so what they did was they just funneled all the people of color, Black, Asian, and like Latino, and put it all in one area and named it the ghetto. And then they separated it with industrial buildings, and then they had that's where everybody worked, and then you had the nice areas where everybody, the rich, well-to-do, affluent white people lived over there, and that's where all the good food went. And then now, so that was the Negro zoning laws. In 1917, it was deemed unconstitutional, and they named it the racial zoning laws. They didn't change anything about it; they just changed the name. And in 1930, it was deemed unconstitutional again, so they named it because it was still racist. So they named it the red zoning laws. And they never actually changed anything about the actual law, but what they did do was change the subtext where it was the racial identifiers, where it said Black, Asian, and Native, or whatever, Native American, and Latino, and they replaced it with the word blight, which means infestation, mold, mildew. So they were referring to people of color as infestation, mold, and mildew, and this is today in 2017. And if you, I don't know where you're located, but if you take a drive from your well-to-do affluent area down to the less affluent areas, the more urban areas, you can see that. And you can look it up online, and you, like I said, go out in your car right now, take a drive, and you can take a look for yourself and see what I'm talking about. And so I do things like that, and I talk about oppression in the food system, and I've been doing that and speaking at universities. I've spoken at Penn State. I'm speaking at Stanford this year, UCLA, Georgia, University of Mexico, Hawaii, and it's growing. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm also writing a book, Oppression in the Food System, and that'll be out this year in August.
Nice.
So, yeah. So and also too, and why oppression in the food system is a big deal, and for not just for people of color, but for the animal rights movement, trying to show that it is a serious deal, because when we look at how everything is, the animal rights movement is not very inclusive racially, and they're talking about fighting for animals, and that's all they care about. But we have to look at there's a big picture. The reason why, the number one purchaser of animal products in the world is McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, these fast food restaurants, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And where are they placed? Where are they heavily concentrated? That's in urban areas. Now, and people of color are not supposed to be drinking milk anyway. 80 to 100% is a study done by Dr. Milton Mills. 80 to 100% of all people of color are lactose intolerant, meaning, shit yourself if you drink milk, and that's not good for us.
Yeah.
So, and then also too, and I don't know if you know this, but diabetes is caused by, in the black community, we refer to diabetes as the sugars, because that's what they do. They make it seem like diabetes is caused by sugar, but diabetes isn't caused by sugar, but that's what they promote. Diabetes is caused by saturated fat, which is only found in animal products. And the saturated fat, for example, is if you take a chicken, you put it in a pot, you boil it, and the fat rises to the top and it hardens. That's what saturated fat is. You can scrape it off the top. That's what saturated fat is. Anyways, the saturated fat goes directly to your pancreas, where your insulin is made via the beta cells, and it goes to the beta cells like a heat-seeking missile and chokes out your beta cells and stops your body from making insulin. And that's how you become diabetic. Sugar's in everything. We shouldn't be. The sugar is still bad, the white sugar and all that stuff. But there's sugar in fruits and vegetables, so we need that defense system. UCLA just released a statement last year, or was it 2015, saying that 50% of Californians are pre-diabetic and they have no idea.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and that's because we're eating these shitty foods and we don't know. So, and this is what I'm talking about. Also, too, as you look at the history of people of color in the indigenous diets, that's another way you can tell that this oppressive food system, because meat and dairy has been pushed by the government, subsidized and all that stuff. And if you live in America, you know that America isn't the most inclusive government. Like that's just the history of it. But I forget where I was going. Oh, so I told you that people of color are lactose intolerant, 80% to 100% lactose intolerant. But you see where McDonald's and all the Pizza Huts, the dairy and cheese commercials, all that stuff is pushed in inner city areas. The sugary stuff, that's also pushed in inner city areas. Because, Pepsi just released a study in 2015 saying that from the year 2015 to the year 2020, 86% of their income through that time is going to come from marketing to youth of color. And this is important because these companies also work with McDonald's, Burger King, all of that stuff. So they're on the same thing together, and they're all marketing in youth of color. And then you can see this, too, when you turn on the television and you look at BET or Telemundo. 86% of their commercials are bad food commercials or medicine commercials. Mm-hmm. And you can go look at any other MTV or whatever. The commercials are different. They're still going to be saturated heavily with Pfizer commercials and so on and so forth, because that's it. But the commercials are different than they are on other channels, because Pepsi and McDonald's and all these companies are lobbying for this advertising space in these culture television channels like BET, telenovela, because that's where their target demographic is, and that's called targeted marketing, and it's used by these companies, and people don't notice it. But if you take a look out, if someone tells you, like I'm telling you right now, and you get in your car and you go take a look at where these places are, where these fast food restaurants are, and you can see, like, for example, around the hospital, it started at Johns Hopkins in 1900s, in early 1900s. There are no fast food restaurants there. And there's like that around all hospitals now. That's like the rule. You can't have fast food restaurants around there, or a well-to-do affluent area. And they say that it's to protect the character of their community or the health of their community. But then when you go to, like, say, for example, I'm going to just use where I'm at, Beverly Hills, so there's no fast food restaurants, Beverly Hills. You go to Westwood, or like UCLA area or somewhere over there, there's going to be one or two Jack in the Box over there, something, or a Subway, but not too many fast food restaurants. And then you go a little further south, you go to Culver City, then there'll be like 6 or 7, maybe 8 or 9 fast food restaurants. And then you go to South Central, and then on one corner block, there's 5 or 6 fast food restaurants within a corner, on one corner. And this is real life. And so what we've been doing also, too, is we're working with, because we see that there's a definite lack of education in the system as far as what healthy food is and all of that stuff. We're working with, we're doing something now called store tours, and we're working with Ralph's grocery stores, Ralph's grocery store chain. It's actually Food for Less, Ralph's, and Kroger. And we're working with them to do this thing called store tours. And we've already started it in Los Angeles, and we're going to scale across the country with it. But we have plant-based nutritionists giving people a tour of the grocery store, and we're teaching them how to shop healthy and on a budget, using shopping for grains, and how to navigate the produce section. And you don't have to necessarily buy organic fruits and vegetables all the time if you can't afford them. You can just buy vegetables that have been sprayed with pesticides, avoiding GMO, and learning how to wash your vegetables and still have a good vegetable, to feed your family, some good produce to feed your family. And then we also have like food demos like Gardein and Bolt House, and all these other these plant-based food companies are coming out and doing food demos and feeding the people. And Ralph's actually at the end of the tour gives each person a bag of vegan food, and so they can take home and practice making. And we hand out like recipe books and nutrition guides and stuff like that. And so it's really cool. So we're doing that, and we're starting we started in Los Angeles, and now we're about to scale across the country with that. So we're very excited with that, and that's our next project for the start of 2017.
Well, see, and you took my next question for you. I was going to say, what is your vision for 2017? And I think we just rolled into it right there. You got the book coming out, and you said it was Kroger, Ralph's, and what was the other one, so I can put that in the show notes?
Food for Less.
Food for Less. Okay, gotcha.
And what we're doing is we're targeting inner city areas that are closest to the food deserts. We're targeting those grocery stores, and because and people come flocking in because they love to. When do you ever get a chance to talk to a nutritionist? And when are someone's going to teach me how to use my grocery store and shop and be able to shop on a budget? So we're really excited about that. So
that is awesome. That is awesome. Now, all right, so people listening that want to learn more about, what you're doing there, and I mean, is there a website for that, or how they can help out, or, any way to find out about more?
Yeah, well, one, how you can help out is spread the word about oppression in the food system.
Okay.
That's one. And then two, you can reach me on my social media. It's the 300-pound vegan, or at the THE 300, the number 300 POUND vegan. And then it's the same at the 300poundvegan.com, and that's, my Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So,
man, well, that's awesome. We're now by chance you coming close to the East Coast? I'm out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So yeah, I grew up the same, like you said. There's a place near here called Lexington, North Carolina. When you talk barbecue, and so I definitely can feel your pain when you were talking about growing up. That was definitely big in the family trip growing up. But are you? I know you're talking about speaking engagements and traveling. Where are some maybe cities? Anything you're coming to, or if there's a lot of them, is there just follow you on social media to find them? Do you post where you're going?
Yeah, we're going to be posting where we're going, the speaking schedule on social media. A lot of them is going to be on the East Coast. Like I said, I'm doing one in Stanford this year, Mexico, a few other places. Canada, Arizona, a couple places. But I'll post it online, and so everyone can follow. And
Well, that is awesome. Well, look, I tell you what, thank you so much for your time. David Carter, thanks, man. It's awesome talking with you. I remember a bunch of knowledge and just, a great guy. I love the mission you're carrying out there. Because I think that, I believe, and it sounds like I want to get knowledge out of people. I tell people, you know what? Like we were talking about my doctor. You asked me, is he vegan yet? And I'm working on him. And I work on a lot of my buddies. I want to make sure, though, we're getting knowledge to people so they can make informed decisions. Because in the beginning, as you and I know, everybody was like, oh, you can't get protein. Well, like I said, number one, you're 300 pounds of muscle mass. I mean, it just, you crushed that myth, and it's been, like you said, it's been dealt with already. I like getting that. So at least people can, know that it is possible. And so I love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, bro. And thank you for allowing me to be on your show, man. And I mean, this is a great show, great questions too. So appreciate it.
All right. Many thanks again to David Carter, the 300-pound vegan. Very cool interview, wasn't it? I mean, listening to him and his story, I mean, it's just amazing. Because again, that's one of the reasons I love doing this is to bring, these real world examples, of actual living proof, okay, of what the plant-based diet can be for everybody. All right, so hey, look, everybody, I appreciate you tuning in to this episode, the Plant-Based Tour Guide. Come check everything out, plantbasedtourguide.com for past episodes, plus, of course, all the social media and everything. We appreciate all your help and your support. Reach out to us, drop us an email, plantbasedtourguide@gmail.com. And everybody, until next time, live Pure Vita.